As we reported last month, the extensive damage to the access path to the slipway on the main beach was considered by the Environment Agency to be part of the town's sea defences, and so they took on the cost of repairing it, instead of the North Somerset Council footing the bill. The task involved clearing the old broken concrete for a section of about 10 metres, and then installing reinforcing rods called rebars to strengthen the much used walkway. Obviously the weather played a part in the progress of the repair work, but within a few weeks of the damage being inflicted, we are pleased to report that finally the mixer truck had arrived and the quick dry concrete was soon being piped into place. It will take about 48 hours for it to dry, and then the sea can have another go at breaching our defences. "24 Old Street is the new headquarters of the Clevedon District Food Bank, opened this month by the managing editor of BBC Radio Bristol, Tim Pemberton."
You've been right-handed for a second.
I'm left-handed. This wasn't in the contract.
There is no definition. Right. Move back against the door just a little bit, sir. So 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Hand at the back there. Wave your hands in the air.
Oh, jazz hands.
1, 2, 3. Yay!
Jazz hands.
After the inevitable press photographs, the party moved inside for tea and cakes and the official opening ceremony.
I always say on these occasions I don't really like doing this, and I don't like being here. And to start on the serious note, if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I would be standing here talking to you, telling you that in the last 6 months on average we've distributed over 1,200 kilos of food to hungry people in Clevedon, Aylesbury and Portishead, I would have laughed in your face. As I said earlier to our volunteers, I'm actually disgusted that we have to do this. It shocks me. It shocks me to the core that we have to do this. But it fills me with hope that people like yourselves support us, and support us brilliantly and ably and generously. People are so full of love and generosity and benevolence that upstairs we've got lots of food that we can give to hungry people. I must firstly introduce to you Tim Pemberton. He's already, as you've seen, pretended to cut the ribbon. So now I'd like to hand over to Tim just to give you a few words. So Tim.
Thank you. I kind of feel like I've done my part, because I've had all the fun with the scissors and the ribbon, so I'm ready to go home now, really. I just want to say that I feel like I'm amongst fantastic people. I really do. And the whole food bank movement has really made me think about giving again. And giving's a hot subject in this country at the moment, as you know, with people asking who we should give to. And to know that we have people within the community who are so generous to think about other people rather than themselves, and probably giving out of the difficulty of their own circumstances, is really impressive. And so I'm really pleased that I've been asked to come along and to take part today in a very small way. I just think that one of the things I was talking to somebody earlier that I think we can all do is just to try and help get rid of the stigma around giving and both receiving. Because if people are in a difficult circumstance, we all know that one of the hardest things is to admit you're in a difficult circumstance and be prepared to receive help. Because, you know, we're all human and we've got our pride, and, you know, we don't really want people to know our business, as my mom would say. And, you know, it's a really difficult thing just to be prepared to receive from other people. But if we all can make sure that we play our part in helping people to know that there's no shame, there's no embarrassment in it, and that actually we are giving from a good place and from a good heart, I think that will go a really long way. But just to say thank you very much for inviting me to be part and to officially open. It's called the Clevedon District Food Bank, Clevedon District Food Bank,
Number
so
24.
At number 24. So thank you very much, and it's officially open. Thank you.
In the last 8 months, the food bank has provided 3 meals a day for an average of 148 people per month. That's 80 adults and 68 children. Or, put another way, that represents 1,332 meals per month. We asked how the new premises had helped with the task.
The primary advantage of being in here gives us much more space, downstairs in particular, to listen to people. We've got dedicated space to sort of sit and chat and to deal with clients, and we have the ability to do that discreetly and quietly and confidentially. Very much like Paul, I feel very sad that in this day and age we have to have these sort of facilities. But also feel very pleased that the generosity of people in this town means that we can meet this need, and we are getting better at making sure that everybody in this town is fed.
And how do people in this town give you the material, the stuff?
They do from a variety of sources actually. We obviously have the large supermarket collections at strategic points throughout the year, but we have local people coming in here every time we're open just to give food and donations. So it's great, you know. It can be anyone. Sometimes it's churches, it's schools. You know, schools in particular are extremely generous. September, October time, we had so many schools giving their harvest tours this year, and it's been so great to see so many children getting involved in this. You know, if you're downstairs, you'll see some photographs of, I think, the local guides with a multitude of boxes of cereal that they gave to us. It's been good to watch this whole community take this project and run with it and get involved.
The bank is open to exchange food vouchers on Mondays and Fridays between 12 o'clock and 2. Donations of non-perishable food is welcome on those same days between 11 and 12. In the middle of February, North Somerset Council made the second stage of their bid for Heritage Lottery funding for the repair and refurbishment of our marine lake. The enthusiast group Marlins say they should find out this summer if they have been successful.
Now, it's quite a big bid. It's almost £1 million for the repair and renovation of the lake, of which the money comes from various sources, mostly the Heritage Lottery Fund, a big chunk from North Somerset Council and Clevedon Town Council, some from the Landfill Fund, which we have yet to apply for, and some from Marlens itself. Our share is £10,000. We already have pledges from people and organisations in Clevedon for more than £4,000, but obviously more pledges would be welcome. Assuming we're successful, and we are hopeful, we'll be starting the work in 2015, so the lake will be unavailable through the summer of 2015, from about April through to the end of August. However, we want to get a start this year to find out what works and what people want. We did a survey in the summer about what people who use the lake and walk by would like to see, and we had a strong request for, can we bring the boats back please, the paddle boats and the rowing boats for hire, so we'll try and do some of that. We want to provide some model boats. We may well provide some changing tents and towels and swimming and crabbing stuff. Anyway, we need volunteers to make all this work, and particularly we need a regular team of volunteers to clean the lake so that it's tidy and pleasant to use. So any volunteers, please contact Marlens. If you have a look at our website, info@marlens.org.uk, and we'll be happy to take you on board. So this year, see what works. Next year, the big repair, and after that we'll have a nice shiny new lake to move forward with.
We reported recently about the ragged state of the flags hanging along the promenade from the pier to the Salthouse pub, which have been left in a very shabby state. We now learn that North Somerset Council plan to replace them all in time for the Easter bank holidays at a cost of £900. Their future plan is to replace them every 2 years after that. The present flags have been hanging for just 1 year, so goodness knows what they will look like after 2 years. In a recent edition, we used this new map of the pathway network around Clevedon to take an energetic cycle ride around the town. Now, to support this map project, North Somerset Council are placing new name signs at many of the strategic junctions. The signs use the same colour coding as the map, so combined together they make life a lot easier when navigating about the town. The scheme, the brainchild of Eric Holdsworth, has had £15,000 assigned to it, and so far 7,000 leaflets have been printed and distributed, mainly to schools in the town, or made available at local outlets like the library. Following the recent storms that had battered our seashore, the green beach below the Little Harp pub appears to have changed its profile. A large area of the pebbles on the gently sloping beach seem to have been washed away, and now, as our cameras can reveal, a very small area of sand has appeared. OK, don't let the kids get the buckets and spades out just yet. We do mean a small area, but it's there nonetheless. OK, we admit we know nothing about these. There are about 40 of them, and they have probably been made by a group of people, possibly in an art class or something similar. They appeared fixed to a tree in the Salthouse Woods sometime last week, and that's about as far as we can go. Please let us know if you know who, why, and I suppose when they were made and fixed to this tree.
And if you care to
The local conservation group, Friends of Poets Walk, have now been going strong for 2.5 years. Their aim is to increase the variety and quality of the various natural habitats on Church Hill and Wains Hill, as well as to make it a more enjoyable and informative nature reserve for the visiting public.
No, I haven't either.
Over the years, since farm animals had stopped grazing on Church Hill, the scrub had gradually encroached and virtually engulfed some of the 1920s paths and viewpoints. So several of the group's Thursday sessions were devoted to exposing these forgotten paths and views. Triggered by this early photograph of St Andrew's Church, the group, in association with the church, has also been clearing the area bordering the path where the view of the building had been obliterated by overgrowing scrub. The result? A restoration of this fine view of a historic building. Whilst the team continue with scrub clearance on the hill by finishing the pathway to this fine viewpoint, another team is tidying the more established paths around the hills by cutting back the hedges, cleaning the seats and clearing the encroaching vegetation from the edges. A recent group project has been to open up an earlier, now largely forgotten circular walk round Church Hill that had been originally laid out in 1923. If you follow the Poets Walk sign by the church and walk towards the sea with the churchyard on your left, you will come to a fork in the path, shown clearly in this 1932 photograph. The newly exposed path passes gently up the hill through the scrub and offers visitors easy access to the top of Church Hill, with its stunning views over Clevedon to the Mendip Hills and the Bristol Channel to Wales. There are two diversions from the circular path. This one takes you down and reveals a fine sea view. The Civic Society plan to have a seat placed here for the visitors' further enjoyment. The broad path was cut into the hill to make it level, and gravelled probably with waste from the old Church Hill quarry. It slowly became grassed over, but would still have been in regular use until brambles and scrub and even trees finally took over as a combined result of the cessation of grazing in the 1940s and the decimation by disease of the rabbit population in the 1960s. A second diversion leads the walker down into the Salthouse Woods, and thence down the wooden steps, also refurbished by the Friends of Poets Walk, down to the marine lake. Back on the main path, it then descends gently down through the woodland to the formal path that runs up from Salthouse car park. The Light Opera Club's latest production, Brigadoon, was written in 1947 by the same team that later wrote the more popular show, My Fair Lady. The action takes place in a Scottish village that only comes to life for one day every 100 years. The problem is that Tommy, an American visitor to the village, falls in love with a local girl, Fiona, which is a problem when she only appears for one day every century. The show is produced by Jeff Prescott, who knows the show well as he played the part of Tommy in Clock's 1974 production at the age of 23.
Like a bell that is ringing for me, and from the...
Tommy in this production is being played by his son, John Prescott, who is also 23. Fiona is played by John's sister, Natalie. Brigadoon is on at the Prince's Hall from Tuesday the 11th of March until Saturday the 15th. It starts at 7:30.